London is David Spears, who was at the presser. Thanks for joining us, Spearsy.
Hi, mate.
Now, Malcolm Turnbull, of course, this was his first chance to respond to the criticism of his speech that's been unfolding back in Australia. Has he been surprised by it, and do you think that he's countered that criticism very strongly?
Well, he very quickly pointed out that even Eric Abetz has welcomed and praised the speech that he gave, the point being that within the parliamentary ranks, even from the arch-conservatives, they're not worried about what he said. The criticism is coming from those outside the party, at least publicly that's the case. The commentariat, Bill Shorten, of course, always going to exploit what he can, and you're right, he does that very well. But I don't think what Malcolm Turnbull said in the speech is the problem. I agree with you, and Linton Crosby there as well. Saying it, getting into this turf is not where he needs to be. He needs to be focused on policy delivery, the results, and he has been busy on this international trip, committing with Indonesia to wrap up a free trade deal by the end of this year, a free trade deal with the European Union by the end of next year, getting a good steel carve-out for Australia with Donald Trump against any tariffs he's about to put in place in the United States, you know, pressing China over North Korea. All these things are important things for the Australian leader to be doing on the world stage. He's been doing them. Focus on all of that. Why you enter this debate at all is a mystery to me. But, as I say, I don't think what he's saying really should be that inflammatory within the Conservative ranks. Here he was basically repeating the message he delivered in the speech.
Yeah.
I am proud to lead the party Robert Menzies founded. And as the Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party, I stand on the same political ground with the same political principles with which he founded our great party so many years ago.
He referenced Robert Menzies, he referenced the broad church of Liberal and Conservative values of John Howard, he referenced governing from the sensible centre of Tony Abbott. I don't know, Chris, is that, you know, so extreme a position that it should spark all this outrage?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head just a moment ago, Spearsy, when it was the problem of him raising these issues. This is not what he should be talking about while he's overseas and while he's got this festering back here. But he also talked about moving the party to the centre. Now, that suggests that it's been too far to the right in the past, and we haven't heard him outline in what areas then the coalition government previously has been too far to the right. Where is he moving it to the centre? His critics within the party, and you're right, not many of them are going very public so far, but there's a lot of consternation behind the scenes. His critics say that he's moving the party to the left.
Yeah, look, I think that's true, and certainly privately, yes, there are concerns generally about where the government is positioned, as much as there is perhaps about this speech itself. But look, you know, publicly they're all towing the line, and Eric Abetz, you know, didn't have to put out that statement today. It was very strongly defending Malcolm Turnbull on this one, so I thought it was notable that he did. I think Tony Abbott may be out of the country, correct me if I'm wrong, but we didn't hear him weigh in on this one back there today. But look, in a bit of a vacuum of other news happening in Australia, by the sounds of it, this is getting a fair bit of traction, this speech.
It sure is, David, and you're right. Tony Abbott's been silent. I think he is overseas, and that's probably a lucky break for Malcolm Turnbull in that regard. But I believe the former leader of the Australian Republican movement is off to see the Queen pretty soon.
He is. Look, this is protocol that you can't actually talk about what you talk about with the Queen, so he's kind of protected from going into details about what he might say, what he might not say. But look, no one's going to miss the irony here of, as you say, the guy who led the Republican campaign at the referendum all those years ago. I asked him just a moment ago, you know, did you ever think back then you would be going to Buckingham Palace here in London to bow and, you know, have time, what do they say, have an audience with the Queen? Look, he said, no, that's right. No, I never imagined it. Politics is an unpredictable business, but here he is. And he was quite effusive. I want to play this one. Quite effusive in talking about this particular Queen and what a great servant to the public she has been for, well, longer than most of us have been alive. Have a look.
The Queen has embodied selfless public service, dignity, wisdom, leadership, for longer and more magnificently than anyone alive today. There's no doubt about that. She's been a remarkable leader of the United Kingdom, of the Commonwealth. She's been our head of state for all of that time, and I'll be very honoured to meet her as Australia's Prime Minister and to share my thoughts about Australia and hear what she has to say. So it's I'm really looking forward to it. And as I say, you know, there are even Republicans like myself can be, and in my case are, very strong Elizabethan.
Malcolm Turnbull's position he's articulated previously is we won't become a republic in Australia until this monarch, Elizabeth, is no longer on the throne. And look, he may well be right about that. An interesting question came up. He's also previously on the record, Chris, you'd know, saying that the correspondence between the Queen and Sir John Kerr in relation to the Whitlam dismissal should be made public. It has not been. He wouldn't say whether he'll raise that in the meeting at the Palace today.
All right, thanks very much, David. It'd be interesting to know whether he does raise that. My guess would be that he wouldn't, but we may never find out. Thanks very much for bringing us up to speed there, David Spears.